Brisbane.
It's only for the live stream.
So this is what you got. Each team.
Oh, written out. Oh.
That is it on. And there's your umpires.
Now, umpires, where are they from?
You want to know states.
Yes.
I'll take yours.
South Australia.
I'll
Yeah, I know Damien. Deb's from New South Wales, isn't she?
Victoria. Debbie Gray's Vic.
Victoria, yeah.
Stuart. We better double check. I think he's South.
So,
He said these are on all the time.
if that's the best heckle you've got, you might as well move on.
Sorry, was there a heckler back there? No worries, son. Yeah.
He's staying at the top and the rest of it.
Beautiful. Obviously no South Australian or Victorian teams in this game.
No. And
Yeah, no, we won.
USB mines you can't turn off.
Right.
And then
Is he going to be here or not?
He's going to sit down.
Clay
So,
Kilpatrick.
you want to talk to him?
Are we ready? Right.
This is
No, on the other team.
Yeah, yeah.
He pitched against us, so
I'll
he was
keep
quick.
the
Our boys struggled a bit. We
Well,
lost
again.
4-1,
Thank you.
so
Yep.
it was really
Yep. Beautiful.
You can't really crunch chips. Is that
No, I don't want any of that sort of food. But in the middle of it, can you throw me a Coke somewhere?
Yeah.
Just to kick
I'll
the
do
sugar
the
up.
same with that. So he
Cookie,
started
mate.
on
There you
the-
go.
Yeah.
Andrew, pleased to meet you. Now, these are on full time?
Yes, just a muzzle.
Right, to muzzle.
Right.
So have we
No.
started yet?
That's
Right. You'll give us a lead in. Do you want volumes?
No, it's all done.
It's all done?
You can do all the intro teams and that.
Right.
Who's got the link for where this is?
Yeah, well, it's going to their Facebook, Softball Australia, and then
Facebook Australia.
and I'm trying to get it onto YouTube. It's Shane. I'll send it to YouTube, so it should just go live.
Do you want to send? Can you send it to my channel? have you got a channel?
Yeah, g'day Shane. Andrew from Sportscast. Yeah, good. Oh yeah.
Yeah, just double checking here.
Where I'll send it to that same obviously YouTube as last week.
Can't hear with that on.
Their YouTube page. And then whatever sort of time you need on it, go live from there. Alright. I'll go live now. Thanks mate. Cheers.
These pretty sensitive, are they? That's far enough work. That's
We'll see how it goes, yeah.
yeah.
I'll adjust it. Right, we're going live. I'll tell you when we actually have music.
If you want anything, write it there. Good afternoon and welcome to the Hawker Softball Complex for this, the semi-final of the Men's Open National Championships. Joining me in commentary today is Darren Hebditch. I'm Wayne Cook and we're going to bring to you today the semi-final and again tonight the final. How are you going, Darren?
Yeah, great. I'm looking forward to the game against Queensland and New South Wales today.
What can you tell me about this New South Wales lineup?
New South Wales revamped their team a few years ago. Head coach Adam Sheen decided to bring in some young boys, and they've sort of done that over the last few years. So they've been tracking quite well. They've been in a final a couple of years ago. So I think they're looking quite good.
And I do notice that if they manage to get through this afternoon, it could be very interesting in the Sheen household. Am I right in saying that Coach Sheen's son plays for the ACT?
No,
Oh,
he doesn't.
Just the same name.
Correct.
Oh, well, that was my misinformation, but I'm glad we cleared that up. And Queensland, what can you tell me about Queensland?
Look, Queensland have got a couple of players coming in, a couple of rookies. They've got Andrew Blackshaw that's back after a couple of years. Andy was in the Aussie Steelers, has been up working in the mines, and he's back and he's playing for Queensland again.
Fantastic.
So I actually look forward to this great game.
Terrific. And New South Wales will be the top of the innings, and leading off for New South Wales today will be Callum Beashall, the right fielder, followed by Peter Wards, the second baseman, and Hayden Matthews, the centre fielder. The lineup for Queensland today will be I've lost my spot there, mate.
Okay, so
Kevin Ray, it's got down here as the pitcher, but that looks like Marshall Cronk out there for me. So he's obviously the DP, and he'll be pitching to James Purcell, with the first baseman being Ryan Merriman, second baseman Jason Nathan, third baseman William Bailey, as the first pitch comes in and it's a ball.
Yeah, unfortunately we're on the other side to the scorers, so they've made that change early and taken Kevin Ray out and allowed the DP Marshall Cronk to start the game.
Had a tough day yesterday afternoon in the heat as he comes with the next pitch, and that's up and away and for ball 2. Tyrell Priestley, the number 9 hitter, actually he's the right fielder, played shortstop yesterday, so obviously a bit of a revamped side there for Queensland. That's a called strike on the running bunt.
So we've just got a little bit of time here. Marshall Cronk looks like he's twisted his ankle in the hole when he's landed. So head coach Damien Nairn is just going out to see if Marshall's okay.
What I've seen of the last couple of days, that'd be a huge loss for them, would it, Darren?
Oh, absolutely, especially in the hitting side. Marshall, who has played for the Aussie Steelers and was a big part of that team.
Yeah, he had 2 shots yesterday. One was a safe hit that went to the fence with the left fielder diving, but the at-bat prior to that, he has absolutely roped one with loaded bases, and Dion Harrison, the left fielder for Western Australia, has taken a laid-out catch diving to his side and backwards. It would have been the catch of the tournament for what I've seen so far, and it robbed Queensland of 3 runs, obviously having loaded bases at that stage. The umpires have gone out now to have a chat with Marshall Cronk and to see what the problem is. And,
yeah, it looks like Damien Nairn's not happy with the hole. That's the head coach for Queensland, so looks like we need the ground crew to come and fix that hole up before we can start the game again.
It's interesting you say that, because having been on the ground crew all week, Darren, we tend to fill all the holes and they make their own holes as they go along again, so I don't know how they're going to fix that for him.
Yeah, no, the pitcher goes out there, digs it back out again, so
yeah, it's almost a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why the ground crew are here.
Yeah, so Cronk seems to be getting his self back together again. He's having a little bit of trouble. Did you see whether it was his right or left ankle, Darren?
No, it's his left foot. It's the foot that he's landed out in front near the front of the circle. Looks like we've got that hole fixed up, so we're ready to go. So we have Callum Beashall there drawing a walk. So now up to bat for New South Wales, number 83, Peter Wards. Turns for the bunt, lays the ball down. Bailey picks it up, throws it across to Jason Nathan for the out.
Good bunt laid down, but a terrific fielding play from the Queenslanders there, Darren.
Yeah, Bailey at third base for Queensland. Played for the Aussie Steelers in a tournament. He was just on the fringe and played quite well in that tournament here in Canberra, probably about 4 or 5 years ago.
Brings Hayden Matthews, the centre fielder, to the plate. He'll be facing Marshall Cronk, who is currently pitching to James Purcell.
So that first pitch is a ball.
Conditions yesterday were stifling in the midday game, and Cronk came through that. I guess it would have been tough on the body, and to get himself up and going again would have been a bit of a major effort, I would have thought, Darren.
Yeah, I think for Marshall, as that ball gets away to the back net, and Bishal scoots himself down to third base. In the last few years, Marshall's had a few injury concerns, especially his knee. So his fitness has dropped off, but it looks like his fitness is starting to come back to him.
Yeah, good to see these guys who are out and about doing it still. As he approaches with the pitch, that's going to be a called strike straight down to Hey Diddle Diddle, and Hayden Matthews has a count of 2 balls, 1 strike. Runner at third base is Callum Bishal, having got there on a base on balls, a walk and a wild pitch. That one's laced out to the left field. That's going to be off the home run fence, back for a double. The run scores, and an inch is a big distance in the game of softball, isn't it?
That's right. I mean, that's dead set right on top of the fence, and maybe 1 or 2 millimetres further, and that's over. But excellent hit there by Matthews out to left field.
Gives New South Wales the lead, 1-0, as Liam O'Leary, the left fielder, steps into the plate. Runner at second base, 1 out, fakes bunt, lets it go high for ball 1.
Yeah, in the New South Wales team today, we've actually got quite a few players that are either current Aussie Steelers or played for the Aussie Steelers the World Championships back in Saskatoon in 2015.
Another pitch on the outside there, change up for ball 2. So 2 balls, no strikes on Liam O'Leary. We've got a runner at second base, which is Hayden Matthews, and having hit the home run fence, unlucky not to be 2-0, but the scorer was Callum Bishal, 1-0 to New South Wales. Big swing on that one for O'Leary, fouls it back, and we now have a count of 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yes, in the team for New South Wales today, we've got Liam and Kieran, brothers from New South Wales. Kieran played for the Aussie Steelers in 2015, and Liam played in the last World Championships just gone in July.
Gets that one right on the fist as O'Leary and fouls that way back, and that goes for a count of 2 balls, 2 strikes. Following this hitter will be James Brownlow, the first baseman, and Lachlan Hay, the DP. Gets a bit of that one, pops that out towards the shortstop, tracking back, left fielder coming in, overcalls him, takes the fly ball quite easily in the end for the second out of the innings. And we have Hayden Matthews remaining at second base.
Yeah, good catch there, running in nice and hard to make sure he could make that an easy catch. That was Danny Brown. He's one of the rookies for Queensland this year, a Kiwi player, so he's played quite extensively over in New Zealand.
James Brownlow steps to the plate now, number 32, playing first base for New South Wales. That one gets way away from Cronk. The catcher had no chance on that. That'll be a wild pitch, advancing Hayden Matthews down to third base.
Yeah, unfortunately Marshall Cronk doesn't look too comfortable out there at the moment. I don't know if it's the ankle still giving him a little bit of trouble, but we'll see how he goes.
These tournaments are long tournaments for the pitcher usually, Darren. They usually have one guy who, that one gets away from the catcher on a pass ball, and the run scores, called safe by the home plate umpire Damien McCauley, and that'll make it 2-0 to New South Wales.
At the moment, Queensland are just looking a little bit flat. A couple of balls have got away from James Purcell behind the plate at the moment.
Bit fatigued from the week, would you say? It's been very, very hot here in Canberra this week, and Cronk has done, I guess, the main workload on the mound for Queensland.
It would have been shared. Andy Blackshaw, ex Aussie Steeler.
Yep.
So yeah, it would have been shared between those two, but still.
Seems that any time they need to have a go-to man, it's Cronk though.
Yes.
They get in trouble, they go to Cronk. He spent an awful lot of time up on the plate.
Yes, obviously the head coach Damien Nan has made that decision that he'd go to Cronk in most of those situations. And
if Cronk was to be hit out of the game or fatigued out of the game, who would they go to today?
Oh, absolutely, Andy Blackshaw. I'd have the confidence for him to step on the mound. He even though he's had a couple of years away up in the mines working, he looks like he's throwing at least mid 120s, if not a little bit higher.
As Lachlan Hay, the DP, steps into the plate, we've got a runner at first, which is James Brownlow after the 4 straight balls for a walk. We've got 2 out, 2 runs have already scored. As that one gets called just on the top of the zone there from Cronk, and the first call is a strike for a count of no balls and 1 strike. It's always good to get a couple of runs in the first innings, get yourself a bit of a lead. That one's called outside, so for ball 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It obviously energises the bench. They'll be nice and pumped to go out and field and try and defend in the first inning. That one again is low and inside. Cronk, as you said, is thrown quite a number of pitches already in this first innings. Yes, it looks like he's struggling a little bit. As I said earlier, I don't know if it's the ankle or just the workload for the week. Hay gets some on that, but fouls it back. That'll be out of play. Runner at first base. We have 2 out, and New South Wales are leading 2-0 here in the top of the first. We've got a count of 2-2. And next to the plate will be Kieran O'Leary. It's big swing and a miss there for the strikeout. Yeah, great change up there by Cronky. Fooled him, swung through it before it was on the plate. So, on 2 hits, or actually 1 hit, and a couple of base on balls, New South Wales were able to score 2 runs, and at the mid-section of the first innings lead 2 runs to 0. The first 3 hitters to face for Queensland in the bottom of the first innings, will be Tyrell Priestley, the right fielder, Danny Brown, the left fielder, and Ryan Merriman, the first baseman. The defensive lineup for New South Wales has Harry Peters will be pitching to Jaden Locke. At first base we've got James Brownlow. At second base we've got Peter Wards. At third base we've got Joel Wards. Shortstop we have Kieran O'Leary. Liam O'Leary is the left fielder. Centre fielder Hayden Matthews, and the right fielder is Callum Beashall. Lachlan Hay will be your DP today. Tell me a little bit about Harry Peters, Darren. Yeah, Harry Peters has been in the Aussie Steelers program for a few years now. I think he went to the World Champs, I think it was Auckland, so it was 2013, might have been. No, actually it wasn't. Adam Humble was still around at that stage, so his first World Championships would have been 2015, so he's been the 2 World Champs so far. Harry is an extremely hard worker. Excellent. I've noticed that he has been a bit of a go-to player for New South Wales over the last couple of days also. Yeah, New South Wales are lucky. They've got Dickinson, Darby, Peters, so they've got a few. As Tyrell Priestley steps in, takes his first pitch as a called strike, and that's the way that you want your pitcher to start, throwing one down there. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Get ahead of the count. That one's left a little outside for ball 1. Tyrell Priestley, has he been around in the Queensland side for a while? He's been in the Queensland side for a couple of years, for 2 or 3 years, but Tyrell actually played for the Junior Steelers in 2014, went to the Junior World Champs. Looks a little older than that, I might say, but obviously, yeah. Yeah, no, he's one outside for leaving the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, Tyrell's a country kid. I think it's Bundaberg he's from. Get some of that, and that's going to be a very good catch or out of there. Oh, that looks it's over.
Tyrell Priestley pops himself out a home run to bring the score back to 2-1.
Yeah, Harry Peters tried to come up and in there, didn't quite get it on the hands enough, and Tyrell was able to get his hands out, so he didn't get jammed, got enough bat on it, and over it went.
It's a very good reply from the Queenslanders to come back and get one straight away. Unfortunately, he was the lead-off hitter and there was no runners on base, but hey, it's a run.
Look, I'm pretty excited about this next batter, number 31, Danny Brown. He's, as I said earlier, he's from New Zealand. He's doing a lot of slapping and bunting, extremely fast. He has caused some teams some issues, so he's a very dynamic player.
Yes, in the couple of games that I've watched him, he's been very motivated and moves very well. Leaves that one alone, but gets a called strike from umpire Macaulay. So we've got two strikes at the call, no balls, 2 strikes. We have none out here in the bottom of the first innings. Harry Peters pitching to Jaden Locke.
Oh, there he
Puts that
goes,
one
a
down,
slap.
Brown, but a little bit too much on that. The first baseman Brownlow comes across and lays the tag. A little bit upset with the way that the runner ran, and a few words exchanged. Always great to see a little bit of passion in a game.
Oh yeah, maybe just the left elbow coming up, trying to knock the ball out of Brownlow's glove. But what happened there was Harry Peters threw a change up, and Brown got through his run a little bit early, and his hands dragged the ball around to first base.
Didn't allow him to get it down in a position he was looking for, obviously. First baseman Ryan Merriman comes to the plate. Merriman was very strong yesterday against Western Australia, made good contact all day. Leaves that one alone for strike 1.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, Merriman went over to the ISCs and ended up getting the batter of the tournament. So,
well, gets beaten that time. All ends up by Harry Peters. That's a great pitch.
That's another great change-up. He got that looping down, and by the time Merriman tried to hit it, it was basically around his shoelaces.
He's the man that we've all been talking about, Marshall Cronk. Strong hitting display yesterday against Western Australia, and equally strong on the mound. Has struggled a little on the mound this morning, but let's see how he ends up with his first at-bat. Lets that one down for a called strike.
Yeah, with Marshall, you've got to be careful. If you go up and it's in the chest area, you could be saying goodbye to it.
Looks a very strong lad up there. Leaves that one alone. Gets a call on. Must have painted the outside corner with that.
Yeah, Marshall's very broad across the shoulders, as his whole family is. His brother's also in the Queensland team, Danny Cronk, so he's there as well. Got a little bit of a Mexican standoff here.
So far this tournament, Darren, the ACT have been quite dominant. They did drop a couple of games the other day when they didn't pitch the likes of Falkard or Kirkpatrick. As Peters comes with one low and inside, big swing from Marshall Cronk there for a K2. That'll be the end of it for them, but on one hit, a home run, a very long ball to left field, the Queenslanders were able to grab one back, and they now trail at the top of the second innings 2-1.
Yeah, just on the ACT, I mean, just because they've dropped a couple of games, I don't think that's such a big issue. I think one thing ACT do very well is they incorporate their juniors, so when they get a great start to the tournament, they play their juniors. They give the 3rd string, 4th string and even the 5th string a chance to pitch. So they had young Bolton Nasbaum pitch yesterday, and that was one of their losses. But it was a great experience for Bolton, who's also heading to Sydney next week for the under-19, the Knox Bailey under-19 Shield in Sydney, and after that they'll be picking a junior Steelers team to go to the World Champs in July.
And his chances of making that junior Steelers team, are they strong, or is he someone that needs to really show something at the tournament to put his name up?
I think Bolton will be a utility pitcher. We do have quite a few pitchers in the team, but it's going to be interesting how the Nationals pan out. I think Bolton could end up being a first base hitter, assuming that he bats well enough at the under-19s to get selected. But then you know, we've also got someone like Reid who's played for the junior Steelers, the Steelers, and also the Australian under-18 baseball team. So he tours around quite a bit.
Jet also plays in one of the ABL teams, am I right?
Yes, he pitches at the moment for the Perth Heat. So he's been coming in as the closer in the in the 9th inning to shut teams down.
Leading off for the New South Wales team in the top of the second innings is Kieran O'Leary, followed by Joel Wards and Jaden Locke. They'll be facing Marshall Cronk.
Yes, and so that's actually Jaden Latch.
Latch, is
it? Yep, that's how you pronounce his name. So
missing a T.
Yeah, well, that's how everyone pronounces it.
Yeah,
so
terrific. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So Kieran O'Leary, I hope I got that one right. And
you certainly have.
He's facing up. He's chased a high pitch on that one, levels the count up at 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, Kieran can actually bat left-handed or right-handed, so he's a bit of a switch hitter.
Big swing and a miss on that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and they'll be looking to get themselves some base runners, put a little bit of pressure on this Queensland side, and reinvigorate that lead back out to 2 runs. Lets that one go. That's a little high and out, and that'll be a called ball for 2 balls and 2 strikes. The O'Learys, have they always been New South Wales, or have they come across here from New Zealand, or where do they?
Oh, look, they're from New South Wales. Obviously, they've got Kiwi heritage.
Yep.
Their mother coaches the Thoroughbreds Club in Sydney.
Yep.
So I couldn't actually tell you when they came across, whether they were young kids, but definitely their mother is from New Zealand, but have been in Sydney for quite a while.
Yeah, that one fooled him there on that one. He knew that it was a strike, let it go, and that's the first out of the innings. A K2 or KC actually standing looking at that one, and it brings to the plate Joel Wards, the third baseman. Cronk seems to have got his mojo back here in the top of the second, and doesn't seem to be having as many troubles with the footwork, and has consequently found the strike zone again. That one's found the middle of the bat there for Wards, but unfortunately it's gone straight up in the air. The left fielder comes around, takes the easiest of fly balls, and that'll be the second out of the innings.
Yeah, so that's an easy catch out there by Danny Brown.
Didn't even need to use his speed on that occasion.
No, it was right there, about 1 step away.
Yeah. Brings to the plate my friend Jaden Latch.
Correct, good job.
Leaves that one up, gets called ball there by umpire Macaulay for a count of 1 ball and no strikes.
Yeah, Jaden Latch also played for the Junior Steelers in 2014.
Steps back in and receives from Cronk. That one's down along the knee roll there, and called strike. Latch is the catcher here from New South Wales. Gets a piece of that one. That's down on the left field line. Called fair. He's hustling around, heading around to second base. That'll be as far as he gets, but that's a good piece of the ball. Cronk came inside, he got his hands through it, and pushed that one down the line nicely.
Yeah, really nice hit there. Was able to get on top of the ball and didn't get up real high, kept it flat for a double.
Brings to the plate the original lead-off in today's game, who got himself a walk last time, Callum Beashel, the right fielder.
Yeah, so they've just used the catcher's speed up rule there. So we've got Kieran O'Leary out at second base doing the running.
When they play the catch up, and here comes the pitch from Cronk, that one's low and in there on Beashel for a ball. When they play the catch up rules, just for the listeners at home, do they have to use a specific player, or can they use anybody in the lineup?
No, it's anybody in the lineup. It can be someone that's actually on the diamond, so one of the starters. It could be one of the bench players. The rule has changed over the years. It used to be someone who wasn't in the next 4. There was also bench players, but these days it's just basically anyone you want.
Or the fastest bloke you got on your side.
That would be Kieran O'Leary.
Yeah, big swing there from Beashel. Fouls that one back and gives the count of 2 balls and 1 strike. Yes, O'Leary does get across the ground fairly quickly. and obviously when you get the opportunity to use these runners, you use them and make sure you make the optimum. Oh, that one looked a little high on that. I don't know that Bichel hasn't shown too much, but you could see in the way the head went back, he wasn't overly thrilled with that call. So we've got 2 balls, 2 strikes on Bichel. Runner at second gets a piece of that one, that fouls that back. So that'll be 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Bichel's actually a very good opposite field hitter. Coming up as a junior, he was always really strong centre right. So they might be trying to keep it in tight on him.
Yeah, not allow his hands to get through it. He's got a piece of that. That's a good shot of the ball. Left fielder tracks it across. It's called foul, and the count remains at 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, Purcell then gave a signal and then actually shifted out to the outside. It was a change up and it drifted inside, so they were lucky they didn't get hurt on that one.
Yeah, it cost him up a little there. And
yeah, just locations.
Yep. And it's easy to sit here and talk about locations. It's another thing to be on the mound and get it. And I guess it's one of the strengths that the ACT's Andrew Kirkpatrick has, is his locations are very, very good.
Yeah, Kirkpatrick is probably the most outstanding pitcher in terms of locations. He's got the speed, but being that lefty, he can spot that low out pitch or the up and in pitch on the righty's hands.
Fantastic, and we've got a count of 2 and 2 here on Bichel. He's fighting hard. Gets that one up. That one goes straight up in the air. We got the the third baseman getting underneath it. Takes the easiest of fly balls. That'll be all there is for the New South Wales side in this, the top of the second. They got themselves 1 base hit, scored no runs, and the score remains 2-1 in favour of New South Wales. The bottom half of the second innings, Nathan Jason will be the lead-off, followed by Sean Goffer and James Purcell. Harry Peters had himself a good innings in the last, apart from that one pitch, Darren, where he got up a little on Priestley and went very deep to left field. He retired the team in order 2, 3 and 4, eventually striking out the number 4 hitter, and arguably Queensland's best hitter, Marshall Cronk, to end the innings.
Yeah, Harry has got very good spots, but you know when he's getting tired, because he'll start to lose those spots, and that's when he gets hurt.
So Jason Nathan steps into the box for this, the top of the second innings, with his side trailing 2-1 behind New South Wales, having Tyrell Priestley put one out in the first innings. Takes his stance, gets himself ready, and that one comes in and high from Harry Peters, and that's ball 1.
Yeah, Nathan's one of the veterans of the Queensland team, and he's been a good servant for Queensland.
He's hit that one over to the shortstop, who gets across. Oh, hello. We've had an injury here. I think he's torn a muscle on his way out of the box, which has allowed the shortstop to knock that one down, get up and make the play, and that'll be all there is for Nathan on this occasion.
Yeah, no, I actually spotted Nathan in the physio's room a couple of days ago, and he's been struggling with an injury. Looks like that it hasn't come up too well.
No, and he went to take off there, which tells me it's quite possibly a hamstring injury. The dynamics of trying to take off was all too much, and tore that muscle once again.
Yeah, unfortunately for Queensland, they've got a really good young player in Jeremy Walters, and he rookie player, vying for a junior Steelers position next week. Injured his groin, so hopefully he'll be good for next week. I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. He was having a great tournament, but unfortunately he can't play. He's on the bench at the moment.
We've got Sean Goffer in the plate now. He has a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Facing Harry Peters, brings that one. That one looks a little low, and that'll even the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, Harry needs to be a little bit careful here, because Sean Goffer's a naturally talented hitter, and if he gets onto it, it could go about 280.
Fouls that one back. Catcher takes it back off the net. Count remains at 2 and 2.
So they'll be trying to use the change up and keeping it low on him. If they go upstairs and it's around the chest, they could see that go over. Yeah, fouled off there by Sean, and that was a good pitch. That was just up above, so that's sort of getting up around the shoulders, and Sean had trouble trying to get his hands up to that one.
Oh, that one's a little low. That's well left there by Goffer. That gives us a full count of 3 balls, 2 strikes. Sean Goffer looking to get himself one out here in the bottom of the second. Gets that one across to the shortstop again, who has a little bit of problems there, but it didn't get away from him completely. First baseman made a good play, and the call was out at first base.
Yeah, Goffer's extremely quick, but it looked like he just pulled up a little bit there through first base.
End of a long tournament, it's got to be harsher. Yeah, he looks like he's grabbing at a groin there, and he may have also done himself a bit of an injury.
Yeah, well, if you come into the tournament and you're not physically fit, you haven't got yourself fit for these tournaments, by the end of the week in the heat, you'll find you'll get a few strains and pulls of muscles.
Purcell fronts up for his at-bat here in the bottom of the second and takes a ball off from Peters. That one paints the black on the outside, gets a call of a strike for 1 ball, 1 strike.
So Purcell was Junior Steelers player in 2016.
Liked that one, but held back and got a called strike again. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So that tournament was in Midland, Michigan, and James did quite a lot of catching in that tournament.
He's let that one up high for a ball, so it evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The next hitter for Queensland will be their third baseman, William Bailey. Purcell fronts up again. Oh, that's a good pitch from Peters. That looks as if it was started down in the zone and just popped up a little and tricked him.
Yeah, the book on James is you can sort of try and stay away from the outside, work him low and in, but obviously what they did was he was looking for a drop ball and they threw him a low rise and got him, just froze him, and that was all. Yeah,
it certainly froze him, and after 2 completed innings, we have a scoreline of 2-1 in the favour of New South Wales as they come out for the top of the 3rd innings. Their first hitter will be Peter Wards, followed by Hayden Matthews and Liam O'Leary. It looks like we've got a couple of changes coming our way, at which we'll have to sneak over to the scorers and find out what they are. But obviously, you wouldn't think that. I'm trying to remember who was injured. Was it Sean Goffer? You wouldn't think, no, Jason Nathan, you wouldn't think would be coming back for this innings, and it'd be remains to see whether Goffer comes out as well.
Yeah, well, I think Goffer will actually try and tough it out. Looks like he's out at centre field, so possibly just Jason Nathan might be leaving the game.
Yeah, fabulous. All right, so at the top, here we are again, as I said, at the top of the 3rd innings. Peter Wards, the second baseman, will be stepping in for New South Wales to face Marshall Cronk. This is a very important game, being the penultimate game of the tournament, Darren. The winner goes on to face up to the ACT this evening in tonight's final.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough game for whoever gets there, considering the heat. Potential injuries, let's say, for Queensland. I think New South Wales are pretty healthy, but who knows, they might have to face Falkard or Kirkpatrick. And the interesting thing with Falkard is he hasn't really pitched since the World Champs back in July. Hasn't even played club.
Good shot of the ball there from Peter Wards, but straight at the second baseman. And he pops up, and that's our replacement second baseman, pops up with a catch, and after 1 pitch in the top of the 3rd, we have our first out, which is a fly to 4, brings to the plate Hayden Matthews.
So that's a called strike there on Matthews.
So Hayden Matthews, the centre fielder, steps in. He's a very large character, Darren. Oh, and he's got all of that. That's gone deep. That's over the left fielder's head.
Yeah, that's
gone. Out
gone.
of there. That's where you don't want to be throwing the ball to him.
Yeah, look, Hayden's actually an exceptional hitter. When he's on, he's on.
Well, he was certainly on that, and that made a huge difference for us. So we now have, so now the New South Wales side are now leading 3-1 after that home run. So our replacement for the Queensland side was number 15, which was Jason Nathan, has come out of the game, and he's been replaced by Jordan Hollins. Pops that one over to the second baseman, who's equal to the tasks. Pushes the ball over to the first baseman there in Merriman, and that'll be the second out of the innings for New South Wales. And brings to the plate James Brownlow, the first baseman. We've got 2 out here in the top of the third. New South Wales having hit a long home run to extend their lead. Brownlow takes that one, but that's fouled off down the third base line.
Yeah, Queensland have actually done a couple of defensive rotations here. So we've actually got Tyrell Priestley at the moment at shortstop. The shortstop at the start of the game, Joshua Del Simone, has actually gone across to second base, and Hollins is now out at right field.
And that one goes straight to Tyrell Priestley, who takes the easiest of fly balls, as quick as it got to him. And that'll be the third out there in the top of the third innings. But not before they were able to put one deep, score themselves a run, and take a lead of 3-1 going into the bottom half of the third innings. So Darren, give me those changes again, please.
Yeah, so what we've got is, as you mentioned earlier, Jason Nathan's out of the game and Jordan Hollins is in. And then positionals, we've got Tyrell Priestley. He moves from right field into shortstop. Then we have the shortstop, Joshua Del Simone, going from shortstop to second base. The second baseman, which is the replacement, Hollins, goes out to left field. And this is the changes we have from the scorer. And then it says Danny Brown going from left field to right field.
That's a number of changes, but it's very good for them to be able to make those changes and still keep a strong lineup. Brings to the plate Danny Brown. That's not Danny Brown.
No, this is Bailey in the box at the moment.
William Bailey is the third baseman. Has a big swing at that one, and we've got a swinging strike to give us a count of.
Yeah, chasing up and in there, and they'll probably try and go again and see if he'll chase this.
Always good if you get someone chasing a rise pitch to come again, isn't it? Lays that one on, gets a shot into, and the right fielder catches unhappy with his call there. He realised that maybe he should have been going up again.
Yeah, it's always hard to know as a catcher, do you go back to the same pitch or do you go somewhere else to try and set him up to go to that pitch later?
Absolutely. So we now have Joshua Del Simone, who's now playing second base. He's come into the batter's box to face Harry Peters. Gets a call on that. Umpire said, yes, you did go at the bunt, and that'll be called strike one.
Yeah, a lot of energy there in the infield for New South Wales, people covering bases.
They moved well, didn't they?
Yep.
Oh, he's called that one on the zone, I would imagine there, and so we now have 2 strikes and no balls. Or no balls and 2 strikes.
Batter wasn't sure whether he was going to go at that, and he was hesitating, but the blue called that.
Leaves that one alone, well left there. That one's up, and that's a ball to give a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. We've got none out. We've got a runner at first. We're in the bottom of the third innings. And he hits that one straight at the second baseman. Oh, very, very poor read from the base runner there.
Absolutely.
The freeze line drive has always been the saying in the game, and he saw the ball hit and took off straight away, and that doubles him up for 2 outs.
Yeah, Del Simone didn't actually get that cleanly. It come off the handle a little bit. It wasn't a pure line drive. It was a soft line drive. And as you said, poor read and double play.
Brings to the plate the leadoff hitter, Tyrell Priestley, who has already hit a long ball over the left field fence for the leadoff at-bat in today's game. He's now playing at shortstop. Did start at right field, leaves that one alone for a call of a ball.
Yeah, so Jaden Latch is trying to mix the pitches up here a bit. A lot of change up, so that's a good thing for Harry Peters.
That one got inside there on Priestley. He sort of tried to get his hands out of the way and couldn't, and got a foul ball on that. So we now have a count of 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, he might have been sitting on the change again, so I'm not sure. His hands are a bit late.
Punches down on that one, puts it foul, and that'll give us the remaining count of 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, so his last at bat, they threw up and in on him, and he got his hands through and hit it really well. Now they're keeping the ball low, and he's starting to struggle.
I don't think they'll make that mistake again, or you
no,
hope they wouldn't.
Hopefully they don't go up if they want to get him out.
Left that one out wide for a ball. Evens the count up at 2 and 2.
Oh, he's done a great
Punches
job.
that
He's
one.
hit that
Oh,
out.
That's just
Oh,
missed the
that's-
line, I reckon. That was very, very close.
I reckon that's about 5 centimetres. That's about all that was.
We need the, what do they call it in the tennis?
The cricket,
The tennis
you
one?
know, from the crease.
Oh, yeah.
He got run out by 5 centimetres.
Yes, yeah, gotcha. So the count remains 2 and 2. Tyrell Priestley fighting very, very hard here. And this is when we get into a situation where we start talking about quality at bats, when you make that pitcher stay out there and work that a little bit harder. In saying that, Priestley goes very hard at that one and misses and strikes out for the 3rd out of the innings.
Yeah, they actually set him up really well. They threw about 3 pitches low and away. Yeah, we've just been handed a message. We're under heat policy. So it's going to be heat policy after 3 and 5 completed innings. So it'll be a 5-minute break. So that's when the temperature gets to 35 degrees or higher, and what they call the wet bulb reading of 32.
And the heat policy basically, Darren, is more for the umpires when you consider it. I mean, the players benefit from it also. But the players get to go on and off the field, back into the dugout, have a drink, sit down, get into the shade, where the umpires are out there in the sun the whole time and don't get much of an opportunity. So it's a great thing for the umpires, and we don't want people falling over because they've stayed out in the sun for too long.
Yeah, so the heat policy is brought in for the players, but you're right there, Wayne. The plate umpire gets, you know, he's got his gear on for the whole game. He doesn't get a chance to go and have a drink or get out of the sun. So at the moment we've just got a 5-minute break, and we'll be back with you shortly. So
just on a recap of that, Darren, in today's game, the New South Wales side have scored 3 runs. They've scored those runs on a home run and a couple of base hits. The Queenslanders have scored their 1 run off only their second hit. They've had 2 base hits for 1 home run to score their run. What do you think New South Wales, or what do you think really Queensland need to do to get themselves right back in this game? I mean, it's only 3-1, but apart from the 1 big shot and 1 other base hit, they really haven't looked that likely, have they?
no, but I think what New South Wales have done well, and Jaden Latch has called a really good game. He's mixing in a lot of change-ups. They're varying up and down, in and out. So, you know, they're going up and down and across. So, like that last batter, Tyrell obviously did really well the at-bat before. And then that last bat, they started working him low out. They threw about 3 pitches there. And so he actually started leaning, looking for that low out pitch. And they actually threw a rise ball on the outside. So keeping it away so he couldn't turn on it and get it out to left field like last time. So, yeah, I think they just they have to get in the box, and they have to basically sit on their pitch and don't go chasing pitches. The question is, do they try and sit on the change? Depends on how much the catcher calls that. If he starts calling it too much, then I'd suggest to sit on the change. Otherwise, New South Wales has just got to get better at bats and try and be very patient and get the one they want.
and it's fairly easy for us to sit back here and say that, Darren, but the response time from the time the ball leaves the pitcher's hand to it gets on the hitter is very short.
They did a study, and I think in baseball they reckon that it was about a fraction over 0.3 of a second to make a decision on whether you're going to swing. The same study said that in softball, and if we've got high quality pitching, so at the highest level, the batters have basically 0.2829 to make that decision. So decision making is a lot tougher in the softball side if you've got someone like Falkard, Blackshaw, Kirkpatrick.
So even though Blackshaw's just sort of come back to the game again after a couple of years off, his velocity hasn't waned at all.
No, first tournament back, I think his velocity's been outstanding. It's only going to get better as he goes. And I think in the Argentina tour that we did in 2011, he was challenged by the head coach Bob Harrow to step it up, and he was throwing that ball up around 130. So he was doing extremely well.
So what are the faster pitchers throwing the ball at these days?
Two fastest pitchers in the world would be Jones from Venezuela. He'd throw around 135 Ks, but the fastest pitcher in the world is actually ACT's Adam Falkard. He's been clocked around 138. There's been rumours of him hitting 140, but I know for a fact that we've got proof of him throwing 138 Ks.
And is anybody ever going to hit the old magical mile of 100 miles an hour, which is basically 160 kilometres an hour? Has anybody ever got close, or is anybody ever likely to get close?
Not that I know of, but you know, in the early days when I was coming up, learning my craft as a coach and a player, obviously I wasn't over in Canada where they had a plethora of pitchers at that level, and also in New Zealand. They were the two countries that dominated in the pitching stakes. So maybe there's someone a little bit older than me that might be able to let me know whether that's been achieved.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because I know in baseball terms, and I've spent a lot of time at both sports, baseball and softball, there are some guys like Chapman from the New York Yankees. That's if he's still at the Yankees. He's moved around a bit in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He was throwing 102 miles an hour, which is pretty quick.
Yeah, no, he actually got traded. I believe it was last year. I don't know. I can't recall where he went, but he's no longer at the Yankees. But yes, he was extremely fast.
Lachlan Hayes steps into the box for this, the top of the fourth innings. Lets the first one go on the inside for a ball. That one was a called strike, and we have a count of 1 ball, 1 strike. Lachlan Hayes' last at bat was a strikeout for Cronk. Cronk looks back, loses that one low, looks back at the dirt again. It's amazing how it's always something else's fault when something doesn't go right.
Oh yeah, I think that hole must be a little bit uneven.
Drives that one to the third baseman, fields the ball, stands up, rockets across the first baseman, and that'll be the first out of the innings. A 5-3 for Lachlan Hay, which will bring to us shortstop Kieran O'Leary.
Yeah, that's the strongest part of Bailey's game, is his fielding. He's a little bit unorthodox. He's not that smooth gloveman, but extremely hard to get a ball past.
Takes that one high, does O'Leary for a ball. He intimated there in between pitches that it popped on him also, if you were watching the stream and they got a shot of him. That one's a called strike from umpire McCauley on the outside corner of the plate. That'll give us a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. He made the play nicely, and you know what? It's all good and to be, fluent and look good and look like a big leaguer.
Yep.
If you don't make the plays,
yeah.
I'd much rather someone like that, a little unorthodox, who just effectiveness and makes the play.
Absolutely.
Hits that one quite deep. O'Leary, we've got talk out there. The centre fielder tracks that one across. Takes a good fly ball in the end, running back and across. And,
just a standard routine fly ball for Goffer. Excellent outfielder. And as I mentioned, has played for the Steelers
Yes.
on a couple of tours.
Yeah, got across to it quite easily, didn't he, in the end? When you consider, you look at where he went back to now for his starting pace in the field, he got across very quickly to where that ball was caught. That one's hit down the third baseline in foul territory. Wards will come back for another pitch. That's 1 strike.
Yeah, no, just looking out there, Goffer's flexing a groin, a hip,
Yep.
or maybe a hip flexor, I'm not sure, but he's actually got more speed than that, so he's freakishly fast.
He certainly tracked that across nicely, as that one is a change up there from Cronk that sort of went the old 48.5 foot, and catcher was equal to the task, picked it up, but it's called ball 1-1. Goes up high with that one.
2 balls, 1 strike.
Out of the zone, 2 balls, 1 strike. We have 2 out here in the top of the 4th innings. New South Wales batting. Joel Wards takes that one back. That goes out of play. And now we're at a count of 2-2.
Yeah, as you can see, you look out there and the alley at centre right is massive. Brown's actually playing towards the line. Goffer's playing right round, but Goffer's got the speed, so...
That's a terrific pitch there from Cronk. He'd worked him pretty much inside for most of his at-bat and then popped that one out and got Wards chasing, and he wasn't equal to the task. Strikes out, so after 3.5 innings, we have a score of 3-1. The first 3 hitters for Queensland in this, the bottom 4th, will be Danny Brown, Ryan Merriman and Marshall Cronk.
Yeah, Softball ACT would like to acknowledge our fantastic partners, CBR Canberra, the Canberra Tradies Club, Canberra Toyota, who have supplied us a different car every day at the softball complex. Had a lovely red 2-door yesterday. Didn't have a chance to stop and actually see what model it was.
They supplied us, but they haven't let us drive it.
No, I thought it was my birthday, but no chance. And I'd also like to acknowledge ID Athletics, who is the supplier for all our state uniforms.
Fantastic.
Into the box at 31.
Pacific Facilities Management are also one of our partners, as is Keegan Carroll Photography.
Yeah, Momentum Sports and Rehabilitation, so that's the physio at the tournament, and we're back to the action.
Fantastic. Danny Brown is the lead-off, gets that one across. The shortstop almost gets to that, but gets out to the left fielder. Brown gets himself a base hit, and he looks to be in a little bit of trouble up at first base as well. I don't know what he's done, but the Queensland team seem to be breaking down quite dramatically.
Yeah, he didn't quite get quality contact on that, so I think it's come off the end, and he's just sort of shaking his hand out there.
Nothing worse than the ball on the end of the bat and the rattling up through the bat, is there? Merriman steps in, has a big crack at that one, fouls it back for strike 1.
I think head coach Damien Nan is probably hoping Ryan Merriman can get a good shot here. He's got the potential to put this over the fence and get the game a lot closer.
Yeah, they need to start picking it up now, don't they? Need to get that those runs down. As we get deeper into the game, it gets a little bit harder, and the muscles start to tighten, and then the head comes into play. Can we get it? Can we not? So always good to get your runs early, which is what New South Wales have managed to do so far. But this Queensland side fought back a couple of times this week. That one's low and inside on Merriman.
Yeah, I think this is a big inning for Queensland because we've got Merriman and Cronk on deck, and they really need to try and get a little bit of action going, momentum, move the runners, see if they can score some runs.
That one again is low and inside, and that's going to load the count up there for Merriman and give him a count of 3 balls and 2 strikes. And
yeah, that's
with none
good hitting
out here in the bottom of the 4th and a runner already on first base, Merriman gets himself on. They put themselves in a nice position with none out, runners at first and second to score some runs.
There we go, he's hit that long, he's hit that,
and
that's gone.
You've called it, Darren. You said that he had the ability to do that, and in one foul swoop, Merriman has put one deep and levelled the scores up at 3 runs all.
Yeah, you don't become the ISC batting award winner without the skill. He's definitely got the skill. He's got the power. They threw up to him. It was across the middle of the plate, and he took it deep.
That changes the game quite significantly, given that we're now sitting in a situation where at the top of the fourth, instead of being down 3-1, we're now 3-all, none out, and we're coming right into the middle of your hitting order.
And Cronk could basically break their hearts, I think, if he gets after one. It'll be interesting to see if he puts it over, how New South Wales respond.
He certainly doesn't half swing on any of his at-bats, does he?
No, even his check swings are hard.
Yeah, he looks... Oh, he's got... No, he's...
Oh, that's going to fall in, I think. No.
No, the centre fielder comes charging in and makes the easiest of fly balls.
Yeah, no, I thought it was going to drop a little bit shorter, but...
Coming to the plate now is your left fielder, Jordan Hollins. Jordan came into the game for Jason Nathan, who has, we're not sure what he's done, but it looked to the naked eye that he may have torn a hamstring. Hollins steps into the plate, gets that one, pops it straight up, catches it lost, but the first baseman comes across, makes the fly ball, and that'll be the second out of the innings.
Yeah.
Interesting how things change so quickly in this game, isn't it?
Yeah,
all of a sudden we're 3-all, we got none out, and now 3 pitches later we're 2 out.
Yeah,
and just trying to get a runner on.
Absolutely. Even that fly ball there, Jaden Latch lost it in the sun, but luckily James Brownlow came in and called for the ball.
And we've got Sean Goffer, the centre fielder, in the plate. We talked a little bit earlier about he seems to have some form of flexor injury, and he fouls that one back exceedingly fast, you said, Darren.
Yes, I'm not sure we're actually seeing his full pace here today, but he's still fairly quick.
Yeah, it's great to have those sort of players in your team. It allows you so much more when you with your, you know, how you want to approach your game and your strategies, and someone with his speed. You know, you don't get any slower, really, do you?
Oh, look, as a coach, it gives you many options, you know, stealing or hitting runs, but the one that you tend to forget about is the base hit, and all of a sudden he's turned a double, you know, in 2 bases into 3 and scored a run.
Yep. And on 2 hits for that, the bottom of the 4th innings, the Queenslanders scored 2 runs with a powerful strike from Ryan Merriman going deep over the centre field fence, and they've tied the game up now at 3 runs all, going into the top of the 5th. So here we are, and basically we have a 3-inning shootout.
That's correct. I think for Queensland, if they'd got through that inning without scoring and they'd worked their way through Merriman, Cronk and then Goffer with no runs, I think their day might have almost been over, because that's the heart of their batting lineup. Those 3 are the guys with the power. So good for Queensland. They've scored some runs, and now it's going to be how New South Wales responds.
And it's interesting, Darren, I still think that New South Wales are probably in the box seat if you look at the part of their order that we're in. We've got Jaden Latch coming to the plate. He'll be followed by Callum Beashall, the lead-off, and Peter Wards, whereas the Queenslanders are going to be, for the next innings, in the bottom half of their order. So, good position for New South Wales, but the Queenslanders have definitely given themselves a chance. As Latch steps in to face Cronk, gets that first pitch. He seems to start that pitch quite nicely in and just bring it up and fade it into the strike zone nicely, Cronk.
Yeah.
When he's got command of it.
I think in terms of the lineups, New South Wales do have the advantage on paper. They bat a little bit deeper, but hey, paper doesn't win your games.
Certainly doesn't. And these opportunities that arise for these players that we don't have, you know, we look at them and go, they're the 7, 8 or 9 hitter, and your expectations are probably not as high, but at this level of softball, those guys possibly hit 2 and 3 in their home state, in their home teams.
Yes, that's correct.
So that was a second called strike there for Latch. He chases that one down because he wasn't going to leave that one to the umpire's discretion.
Yeah, I think that was a Yorker there. That was a good change up and dipped, and Latch went after it. And unfortunately for him, it got extremely low.
Good hitting though. as a coach,
Oh,
you're
absolutely.
talking about anything close.
Yep.
Don't get rung up on something like that, you think. And he has a big hack at that one, and that's strike 3, and that'll be the first out of the innings. Brings to the plate the original lead-off hitter, who has himself a base on balls, scored the first run for New South Wales today, and a fly 5, and that's Callum Beashall. He'll be followed by Peter Wards and Hayden Matthews.
Yeah,
Marshall Cronk seems to have quite a good control of his pitching at the moment. He's struggled there for that one innings, but he seems to be right back in the game now.
Yeah, look, I think he's got into a bit of a groove. He's probably got a little bit extra in him, but he's working his spots. But Beashall, who's a centre right hitter, and there he goes straight out. It's a long ball. It's going over his golfer's head. Hits the fence. Beashall's going to go to round of 3 on this. That's an excellent throw by Goffer, but Beashall beats the throw and is safe at 3rd.
That's a tough one for Goffer, given that you've got to know where you are in regards to the fence. It hit the fence. He hit the fence himself, but his reaction time after that was pretty good.
Yeah, look, that's a tough one when you're trying to go back and then you know it's going to go over your head, but then you're in that no man's land when the ball hits the fence.
Yep.
And it could potentially ricochet back behind you.
He took a jump at the ball to try and make that catch, which is, your gut instinct. But sometimes you think you're better off trying to let it hit the fence, making the play off the fence, and keep it to a double rather than a triple.
Yeah, I mean, only Goffer knows whether he should have backed off and went for it. He's the only one that knows. There's a ground ball there by Wards. Excellent play. Del Simone comes in, picks it up nice and close, holds the runner, throws to first base for the out.
Watching the game in that situation and being a bit of a purist, you see that what a great play that was on both of them. The third baseman took his couple of steps to make him have the look.
Yep.
He then stopped. The second baseman made the correct play in looking him back and going across to first.
Yeah, I think on both sides, excellent play. The only thing that might have been slightly different if the hitter would have been looking to go back the other way and not this way, but hey, might have ended up being the same play with the shortstop.
Absolutely.
Generally, the shortstop's got the stronger arm. They tend to move a little bit better.
Yep.
But it's all about trying to hit a gap, and unfortunately, he didn't get
you have
it.
to try and hit it where it is, don't you? Sometimes
Yeah,
if it comes inside.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've got an intentional walk here, I believe. So Hayden Matthew has been intentionally walked. We'll put him on first base. So we've got a runner at first and third, and it brings to this begs belief for me why you would walk your 3 hitter to get to your 4. So Hayden obviously has the longer ball in him more than maybe Liam O'Leary. O'Leary fouls that one back.
Look, if it was me out there, I think I would have done the same thing. With the New South Wales side, Hayden Matthews is the danger player.
Yep.
If there's one weakness New South Wales has, they don't really have a clean-up hitter.
Yep. So they just sort of move it around and
Absolutely, yes.
looking for contact, making sure that plays get made rather than strikeouts.
See, Matthews has got the power. They've got him at number 3. Liam's more of a contact hitter.
He's made contact with that, straight at the shortstop though, who gets it across to first base just in time. There was only a step in that, but a good play by Tyrell Priestley.
So as I said, Liam, great contact hitter and did a good job there, but unfortunately couldn't find the gap.
So we're going to come to the bottom of the 5th, and in that innings the New South Wales side did not score a run after being in a very strong position after Callum Beashall's shot. The Queenslanders really did quite a good job to keep themselves in the game and to make sure once that initial guy got to third base with only 1 out that he didn't score.
Oh yeah, excellent work. Extremely important when you score a couple of runs to tie the game up. That next defensive inning has to be nice and tight. There's no point giving up a run and going down straight away.
Absolutely.
It's only going to the players are going to put their heads down. So I think that's an excellent job there by Queensland.
And in the bottom of the 5th, we talked about the bottom half of the order, and that's where Queensland find themselves here for the bottom of the 5th. James Purcell will be leading off, followed by William Bailey and Joshua Del Simone.
Yeah, Purcell's up at the moment, and he's He's more of a contact hitter, so he'll be trying to find a gap somewhere, get it on the grass and hopefully get himself on.
It's a scenario now where you want to score a run to put a little bit of pressure on New South Wales. And the pressure will be on New South Wales given that they had a handy 3-1 lead. All of a sudden they find themselves behind 4-3, totally different ball game, different mental state. Purcell gets that one across. Come off his foot though, called dead
Late
ball by
call.
umpire. That's
Late
a very,
call there, boy.
very late,
Yep.
but the right call.
I think it was right. Umpire looked at the batter. The batter's hopped a couple of times and he's made the call, but I think we've ended up with the right call.
So we've either got the right call or a good actor.
Correct.
I'm
Maybe
tipping-
that's a nomination.
I'm tipping, having known Damien McCauley for a number of years as an umpire, that it's the
Yep.
right call. He's an excellent umpire. Doesn't seem to get flustered too often.
Yes.
So we now have 2 strikes on Purcell. That'll be the 3rd one, and that'll retire him.
Get out strike.
It's probably not the at-bat you wanted. I mean, it's, you want an at-bat, you want to work a few pitches. That was pretty quick, 3
Make
pitches.
an adjustment. Make sure that,
Yep.
that something happens, and that catcher. The worst scenario in that situation is the catcher being the only person that has to do anything, and that's
Yeah.
catch the ball. Put the ball in play. Make sure someone has to make
Yeah.
a throw. Get it across to first base. All of a sudden, you bring 3 different scenarios into it.
Purcell couldn't have done much except just for that last pitch. That's all. He just needed to lay off that one.
Well left there from William Bailey. We've got a count of 1 ball, 1 strike.
Strike one out.
1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. Gets a piece of that down the 3rd baseline. Called fair by the umpire there. He's hustling around to second, gets there easily. And now we've got a runner in scoring position with 1 down. And that puts Queensland in a very nice position.
Certainly is, because what's going to happen now is we're actually going to get back to the leadoff hitter, the original leadoff hitter. So with the runner at second, the original leadoff hitter's 2 away, so he's not up at the moment, but that hit allows him to come up next up.
Unless there's something unforeseen like a silly double play, bad base running like happened a little bit earlier,
Correct.
we should see that leadoff hitter in this innings.
Yep.
Del Simone steps in, took that first pitch from Peters, and this is where it starts to get tight for Peters too, you would say. You were talking a little bit earlier when he starts to get tired and stuff like that. They need to work him and make sure he stays out there in the heat a little bit longer.
The one thing with Harry Peters is I would say he's the workhorse of the Australian program. He would do pitching 7 days a week, and you'd actually have to slow him down and say have a day off.
That one comes low and inside. We now have a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes
2 strikes, 1 out.
on Del Simone.
See, now you've also got the element of the infield playing in a little bit as well.
Yep.
So potentially it could squeeze
could-
through.
Yeah, and could also get yourself a little flare that just pops over the infield.
Yep.
With them fielding that little bit closer, it means a tougher job for the outfielders, doesn't it? Still
Well,
1 ball, 2 strikes there on Del Simone.
Pivots won't have as much range now because they're closer, but so that's what the batter's trying to
Why do you
work.
feel they're playing in with, given that there's 2 strikes, why are they playing in so short? When they're not trying to stop a run from scoring,
2 down for Queensland.
why would you not play back?
I just think I think they're probably just a little bit nervous. That's probably what it is.
Okay.
Just a bit nervous, and the decision was made to play them in.
Yeah. See, they've gone back now, which is
Yeah,
giving
2
them
outs.
range and everything. Yeah. Tyrell Priestley, who already today has gone deep and comes to the plate,
I think
could give himself and his team a nice little buffer here with a nice strike.
New South Wales catcher Latch will be trying to work him over again on that low and
It's
out,
not
and
a
then maybe
situation
surprise
where
him.
you might walk him intentionally. That's straight off the foot. That's definitely the right call from umpire McCauley, as Tyrell Priestley finds himself sitting in the box.
That'll be a tough decision to intentionally walk him, because I think the top 4 for Queensland can be damaging.
Yep.
You'd have Brown coming up next, so he's on deck. So if you walked him, he's actually had a fairly good tournament, Brown. He's been slapping and putting a bit of pressure on the infield. So that's the art of coaching at the elite level, knowing when to do the intentional walk and when to say, no, let's challenge him, let's go after him.
Yeah, and hindsight's 20/20, they tell me. So you strike him out, you're a superstar. If he pips one deep, well, then I should have.
That's right.
Steps out there, Priestley, thinking that Peters is taking a little long there, trying to compose himself after copping one fair to the foot. We've got 2 out here in the bottom of the 5th with a runner at second. Scores are locked up at 3-3. That one goes up. The rise ball from Peters, never in the zone, that one.
No. See, at the moment we've got Kieran O'Leary playing a little bit up the middle, but we've got Wards hanging tight on the line, so there's a bit of a gap there through the 5-6 hole.
I suggest they'd be trying to keep it outside on Tyrell. He's exactly
Correct.
where they go.
That's right.
Strikes him out.
And that's why Kieran was probably playing 1 or 2 steps up the middle. Maybe Wards could have just gone with him as well.
Yep. So after 5 completed innings, we're still sitting at 3-3. On one hit there, the Queenslanders were unable to get that hitter around to score. Scored no runs, and as I said, we're sitting there on 3 runs apiece. And coming to the plate for New South Wales in this, the top of the 6th innings, will be James Brownlow, Lachlan Hay and Kieran O'Leary. Where are each of the teams going to score their runs?
I think it's going to come down to execution. Under pressure, everybody's got the ability to get a hit to win the game, but it's really about execution and who can calm their nerves, pick the right pitch. So only time will tell.
Here we are again in a 5-minute heat break for the umpires. They've gone to get themselves a little bit of water and a little bit of shade. And just looking at this game, yes, there's been a few hits, but looking at my scorecard here, Darren, the pitchers have dominated quite significantly in there's been a number of strikeouts.
I think with Cronk for Queensland, he had a shaky start. He's been able to get into a bit of a rhythm. I think he's been saving a little bit. He hasn't been throwing at 100%. He's been more working on the spots, and it's been effective up to this point.
He's really used his field well. He's only had 4. He's struck out 4 hitters.
Yep.
Whereas on the other side of the coin with Harry Peters, he's been a little bit more successful with the strikeouts, and he's had what have we got? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikeouts. So whilst he's used his field well, as well as Cronk has, his power and precision have been a little bit more direct, and
well, I think
come
with
up with 7 strikeouts.
I think with Harry, there's an unsung hero in Jaden Latch, because he's been changing the speed of the pitch, and he's been calling a really good game. And we've seen when he throws that change up, and if Harry can spot it, even if it's on the knees or potentially down around the shoelaces, the Queensland players have been going after that. So they've done an extremely good job in trying to off-speed the hitters, and that's where Queensland haven't been able to basically sit back and get their timing. So New South Wales are winning that battle at the moment, but it only takes 1 or 2 good hits, and Queensland could bust out like they did the inning before, where they one shot, bang 2 runs. So both teams are still in this with a chance.
If you were to make a decision on either side as to who had the most power, where would you go?
Oh, strictly power. You've got, for New South Wales, you've got a couple of guys that can go with power, hit it over, but Hayden Matthews is a guy that would be more consistent, would put it over the fence more than the other players.
Thus the intentional
walk. That's correct. For Queensland, they've actually got a few guys that can hit the ball long. So you've got Ryan Merriman, Marshall Cronk, and you've also got Sean Goffer. All 3 of those are Aussie Steeler players, have been, are. So they've got more power through the guts of their lineup. So at this stage, coming through the next batting dig for Queensland, I think they're in a good spot. If they can get Brown on, then all of a sudden they've got Merriman, Cronk. Obviously Jason Nathan's been taken out of the game, so you've got Hollands up after that, and then you've got Goffer. So I think the next inning for Queensland in their batting dig is the critical dig.
I've just received a text message from somebody who is actually watching the live stream, Darren. And in his text message, he's talked about Peters only having thrown 2 or 3 pitches in the strike zone for the last 3 or 4 hitters, and he's obviously doing an exceptional job. You just talked about Latch being the unsung hero, and in the text message they said to me, why are they chasing? So Peters and Latch are obviously doing a great job in keeping the Queensland hitters off balance and making them chase pitches that they don't really want to hit.
And that comes back to that change-up we were talking about, that, you know, they're throwing that a lot down around the ankles and they're still chasing it. But that also comes back to the other pitches as well, and they're doing a good job at keeping it out of the zone, and Queensland are chasing it.
Top of the 6th innings, we're back from our heat break. James Brownlow steps in, the first baseman for New South Wales, to face Marshall Cronk. Gets one high and tight, just gets past the left elbow there for ball 1.
Well, that's great news. We've got at least one live viewer, so that's fantastic.
And he's a fan too, I believe.
Yeah, he's a fan.
That one's outside, and that's ball 2.
Outside, 2 balls.
Cronk sets himself once again to Brownlow. That one's in the zone, and Brownlow's got a fair bit of that, but that's going to go straight out to the centre fielder, Sean Goff. Gets underneath it, takes the easiest of fly balls. That's all for James Brownlow in this, the top of the 6th, and that's 1 out. Brings to the plate Lachlan Hay, the DP.
Well, Goffer didn't have to move for that one, so he didn't have to test his hip flexor or whatever his issue is.
Very interesting that, you know, you love that sort of situation where you have it hit straight to you and you just stand there and do it nice and easy. James Hay is the hitter now. Lachlan Hay, sorry, I don't know where I got the James from. Lachlan Hay's the hitter now, takes that one out on the outside corner.
The thing I noticed with the Queensland team at the moment, in the outfield, they've actually got very huge alleys. We've got the left and right field playing more down the lines. And so there's the potential.
That's because they're confident in their speed of addressing to closing down the alleys?
I'd say yes, a little bit in terms of Goffer and his speed. You've obviously got Brown out at right field at the moment, and he's quick. But if I was them, I'd just try and work out, are we playing more to left or to right to a certain hitter, and just close up one of those alleys.
Well, given what I just saw then from Lachlan Hay, he's ripped that one straight down past the third baseman. They're obviously thinking that he's more a pull hitter than he is to go in the alleys. Absolutely.
But having said that,
goes Oppo and once again almost straight to the player.
Straight to him on the line.
On the line.
That's right.
So they've obviously done some form of homework to know where these hitters are hitting, fielding in the right positions to be there.
I'm just wrong.
You're just wrong?
Yeah, I'm just wrong.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, I'm wrong.
You heard it here first, folks.
He was standing in the right position. No, my point being, just as I said,
he played
2 large alleys,
yep.
Maybe 1 large alley instead of 2.
Yep. And interesting that both those fly balls have virtually gone straight to players.
Yeah.
6 inches either side, and that's down the line for probably a triple.
That's right.
So we've got
check swing,
there again,
up and in.
On that. Up and in, as you said, Darren, and that'll be all there is for the New South Wales. So that was a very, very good innings for Queensland, and they're going to come into the bottom of the 6th, 3-3.
Yes, with the heart of their lineup coming up. So if I was Queensland, I'd be up and about at the moment. So any Queensland viewers, live streamers, cross your fingers.
Well, they're coming, like you said, to the heart of their order.
That's right.
You'd be happier than where New South Wales are at the moment. With they're coming up to their 8-9 hitters.
The challenge for Harry Peters is if he can get through this inning, I think it swings back to New South Wales. And
absolutely. They then have the top, they then have that last innings down at the bottom of their order and not possibly, as strong.
That's elite sport for you. You have that your moment, and if you can't capture it, it'll swing back to the other team.
Harry Peters is ready for this, the bottom of the 6th innings. How do we work out who's the home team in this situation, Darren? Is that because Queensland finished second on the final standings.
Yeah, so what happens is Queensland finished second. They played ACT and lost that game. So they've finished higher than New South Wales, but they get the option to field or bat. So because they're higher, their option is what they choose. And so obviously they've chosen to to field first, so they take third base. So
Danny
they're the
Brown,
home
sorry
side.
to interrupt you there, Darren. Danny Brown's in all sorts here, I think. He just faked to go and bunt, and it looked like when he moved, and just again then, he has a definite problem with something in his legs.
Absolutely, yep. There's a few of the guys, as we mentioned earlier, Jeremy Waters is not playing through a groin, and we've got Cronk with a sore ankle, we've got Goffer with a hip flexor, Brown, and then obviously Jason Nathan, who's been taken out. And there we have Brown just flinching again with his legs. So, you know, they're struggling a little bit for fitness, but hey, if those sticks can work.
If they get themselves through, there's 3 or 4 guys that have to be possible options of missing the game. I mean, I doubt that they'd miss, but they're going to struggle throughout the game this evening.
I think, yeah, something's definitely wrong with Brown there. It's hurting him. It looks like it's on his left leg, his push-off leg.
This will test him. It's
Oh,
balls out
great
there.
play!
That's a great play from the shortstop there. That's a 6-3. In any other circumstances with Brown without the injury, he probably makes that 2 steps closer.
Very close. Yep.
But the shortstop was given a little bit of extra time, given that he was unable to get up the line.
Oh, that's a great play by Kieran. Kieran's gone across to the hole. It's been a long week. The diamonds haven't been watered too much, so it's pretty dry, and the bounce can be a little bit awkward at times.
Merriman steps into the plate, having hit one deep in his last at-bat. And this is the guy they'll be looking forward again to at least get him started, get a runner on base and put a little bit of base pressure on. Leaves that one alone. We've got a call of 1 ball, 1 strike.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Merriman has had, this is his 3rd at-bat for the game. Hits that one straight back at the pitcher, who does it nice and easy. Trots across, gives a little underarmer to the first base, and that'll be the 2nd out of the innings.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that Peter Ward's for New South Wales, the 2nd baseman, he was actually playing up the middle there. So they'd obviously done a bit of charting there and played him up the middle. As it turned out, he hit it straight back up the middle to the pitcher.
Yep. Brings to the plate probably the most dangerous hitter in their lineup.
Don't go up.
Do not.
If you go up, go up.
Yeah. That's interesting. That one was up, and he's let that go. So he's got a call of 2 balls at this stage and 1 strike. Conk steps back in again. Oh, that one's low and in.
Yeah,
It's obvious that they're trying to work him around the zone. They don't want to be anything straight down the barrel. To this
That's
guy.
right, and with Cronk, most teams try and work him low and in because of his stance. He has that open stance.
Yep.
But Cronky's drawn a walk there.
It's a situation that was made for New South Wales. You don't necessarily have to throw at Cronk in that situation. You've got an open base up there. You've got 2 out. Coming into the bottom.
Exactly, because of the 2 out situation.
Yep.
And you've got the replacement for Jason Nathan in Hollands coming up. One of the more inexperienced players Queensland have.
The young bloke?
Yeah, young bloke. He's not a bad player. He's just got to find his feet at this level.
It's a ball inside taken by Hollands there. Gets himself ready again.
No balls and 2 strikes on Holland. 2 out at the bottom of the 6th.
Holland stepped himself back in. He's got 2 strikes on him at the moment. Takes a ball there.
That's high. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hollands readies himself again. Peters readies himself. comes with the pitch. That one's down low. He had a look. He's been asked there by the catcher to have a talk to the first base umpire. The answer is no. So we've got 2 balls, 2 strikes on Jordan Hollands. We've got the runner at first in Marshall Cronk. We've got 2 out, and the scores are tied at 3-3. It's auguring for the... Oh, I tell you what, he's got a good eye, this young bloke, because that was awfully close.
Yeah, I was a bit nervous there on that one.
Yeah, I would have been having a hack, I think. So we now got a full count on Jordan Hollands. This could make it very, very interesting with Sean Goffer coming to the plate straight after him if he's to get a walk. Unfortunately, low and inside, takes a big hack at it, strikes out, and that'll be the end for them. So we go to the top of the 7th, and we got the score at 3-3. And to face for New South Wales in this, the top of the 7th, will be Joel Wards, the 3rd baseman, Jaden Latch, the catcher, and Callum Beashel, the right fielder. I'm going to step out for a couple of minutes, and Darren's going to have a couple of words with the incumbent Australian Open men's Steelers coach, Lang Harrow. He's going to put him under the torch and ask him a few very, very tough questions.
So we'll just wait for Lang to get in position and sit down. So as Wayne mentioned, Lang's the current head coach for the Aussie Steelers, but he's also the head coach for the junior Steelers as well. So Lang, so far during the tournament, what have you seen and what have you liked?
I think what I've seen, there's been plenty of hitting going on. I would say that's probably haven't seen the best out of our pitchers, especially probably the ones below Falkard and Kirkpatrick, and that boys have struggled a little bit. Peters has stepped up now probably later in the week, so making the hitters work harder. I think the young talent I've seen here has been fantastic.
Now, so we've just got a replacement there. So for New South Wales, we've got number 31, Mitchell Brownlow, coming into bat. So in terms of the pitching, obviously Falkard had an injury before the World Champs. He went away to that, and then he's had some time off, and he's basically turned up to this tournament, and he's trying to find his groove and get a bit of work into his body. How do you see his progression going at the moment?
Yeah, I think from the start of the week to where he's at now, he's got better command of his pitches, spot the ball a lot better, and I think he just looks a lot more comfortable out in the middle. So, yeah, not throwing the ball from since his ISC win to start of this week in a game situation. He's improved, and obviously ACT will be feeling a lot more comfortable with him throwing the way he's throwing at the moment.
Yep. And so Falkard has had an extended break trying to rest that foot, and he's been off doing some work on that. So it is great to see that he's starting to get back into it. What I did notice was early in the week, probably through lack of workload, his rise ball was lacking a little bit of pace, but that's starting to come back to him now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess that's just probably confidence in his foot and feeling good about himself, and you know sometimes ads he likes easing his way into it and build to when it really counts at the end.
So we've got Mitchell Brownlow there. He drew a walk, so now we've got Adam Sheen making a replacement. So it looks like that Aiden Cajun is coming in to have a bat. So at the moment we've got no outs and a runner at first base. So in terms of pitching stocks, is it good to see Andy Blackshaw back into the groove of Nationals?
Well, it is good to see him back here.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him around for a few years, so absolutely it's good to see him here. He has obviously needs to do a bit more work to go to another level, but to see him out, and I guess he'd probably be feeling good himself to be back in the Queensland colours and participating in the Nationals.
So attempted bunt there by Aiden Cajun. So we've got none out with Mitchell Brownlow at first. Yeah, so what I've noticed with Blackshaw is he's been away up in the mines working for a few years and hasn't been to Nationals for a bit. But generally, as you said, he needs to get a bit of work into his body, into his arm. But generally his pace was pretty good considering it was his first nationals.
Yeah, pace is up there, but as you know, pace isn't everything. You know, location's a big
Absolutely.
thing, and you know, it's probably the one thing that's just let him down a little bit this week.
Yep. So in terms of the other pitches, Cronky at the moment, the first inning, he had a little bit of trouble with his foot. How do you see Cronky, Peters, some of those other guys, Dickinson, those guys go this week?
Yeah, I guess Cronky with the mound and that, you know, as you can see now, he's coming direct out towards the catcher. He's not jumping out to the side. It's been a bit of an issue for him the last couple of days, the mound, and obviously not feeling comfortable out there. And, you know, Cronky had a big day yesterday, throwing 8 innings in 40-degree temperatures, and backed it up last night. So, you know, you got to give him a lot of credit for sticking it out and putting the hard yards in. And, you know, he's battling here, and, you know, he's keeping his team in here. They've battled back from a 3-1 deficit to, get it back to 3-0, so they're in with a good chance.
So, changing tact, junior Steelers.
Yep.
Is it good to see some of the young blokes here at this tournament?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. You know, just for them to, see the good pitching and the way they handle themselves too.
Yep.
You know, they from what I've seen, the young fellas have conducted themselves very well and not being intimidated by the bigger fellas. So that experience from this week should take them into next week with a lot of confidence, and also bring their respective teams up to another standard.
So at the moment we've got 2 down and we've got a runner at third base. So we've got number 83 Peter Wards in the box. The score's currently 3-all, so this is a critical at bat at the moment, and a ball called.
And Wards, he's been pretty good this week. Had some clutch hitting on that, so Cronky's going to have to hit some good spots here.
On the handle, bloops it up. The right fielder, it's blooped in. Brown's had a bit of a leg issue all game, and he couldn't quite stretch out to get that. I'm not sure if he would have made it, but that's blooped in, and that's the go-ahead run for New South Wales. So that brings the score New South Wales 4, Queensland 3. So in terms of, we've got obviously Jeremy Waters for Queensland, who's injured at the moment. Dawson Summers for WA. We've got a couple of young boys for the ACT that are playing. We've got Cooper Goodman for South Australia. The advantages of, let's say, we talk about Bolton Nussbaum and Matt Harrow, who obviously you know well, your son. The advantage of playing for ACT, getting extra game time.
Yeah, and Andrew, it's been fantastic with them, and not only Andrew, but I think the team. Because it's not always easy for them out there, and they strike out, and may make the odd mistake, but they're always talking to him and encouraging.
Well, that
them.
one's long, but that's foul.
Lots of positive encouragement in that, and I guess to get the opportunities that they've had. And in saying that, they've taken it in their stride too. Bolton came in for Matt last night and knocked in a run, and so it's good to see, and for them to gain that experience is fantastic.
Yeah, I look at the young guys, and I think there's been some huge positives for most of those guys. I thought Jeremy Waters played well against ACT the first game, and I've been off coaching under 15, so I haven't seen all the games. But he played well against ACT, and I've noticed that Cooper Goodman's had some good at-bats, and then some good things by the ACT boys. So huge positive for those boys moving forward in the junior Steelers.
Oh, I think so, and just even with Jeremy, he's under an injury cloud at the moment, but what he's showing here this week, and even Dawson, he hasn't played a lot of softball probably in the last 3-4 months. It's been a lot of baseball and that.
Yeah.
And to see him, he got an opportunity and he didn't back down from it. And his at bats in the box has improved. And lefties, as you know, Darren, I like lefties, and they're a big part of softball. And so it's good to see him on track.
Well, last time when we went to the Junior Worlds in Midland, Michigan, we could have done with a couple of extra left-handers. We were just struggling with some of those sleeves that were being thrown at us. So it'd be good to see a few more lefties, given that they perform well and they make the team.
Yeah, absolutely. It was something that we missed, and obviously from the left side they show a lot of speed, and speed can cause a lot of damage to the defensive teams and that. So we're really looking forward to a fast and a team, guys that are prepared to put the ball in play. Do a
That's
lot of
right.
team situations.
So in terms of the game at the moment, this is the bottom of the 7th. So we'd like to thank Lang for his time, and all the best with the Junior Steelers and the Steelers.
Yep. Thanks, Darren, and just want to say yourself and Wayne are doing a fantastic job here.
Okay, and we hope to have Lang back here later tonight to have another chat.
Pleasure. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks. So we might have a ball game here. Goffer has just got a base hit, so we've got a runner on at first base. Purcell's coming up to bat. Bottom of the 7th, the score: New South Wales 4, Queensland 3.
Perfect reaction from the Queenslanders there, Darren, getting Goffer on base. Moving him across to second immediately with a bunt there from the hitter in James Purcell, and all of a sudden, as you said, we have a ball game with Goffer at second base, with the Queenslanders chasing one run.
So again, we've got the infield playing in, even though the runner's at second base. So they're going to try and cut him off before he gets to third.
Well left there by William Bailey, laid off that Rice pitch there.
Interesting situation here. Have a look at the outfield. They're actually playing in a little bit.
In a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got a shorter. You've got your. You've got a very baseball setup here at the moment with your centre fielder playing short, and both your right and left fielders just that little bit deeper. And the reason they do that usually is to make sure that the shortstop can cover those little holes just in behind. The centre field cover the holes behind second base and shortstop. Bailey goes after that one, fouls that one back. And now we get ourselves to quite a tense situation with a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runner at second base, 1 out, and down 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Has a real crack at that one, does Bailey. Strikes out. He wasn't going to go down not knowing, and by the looks of things, the Queenslanders are about to take Joshua Del Simon out, and I believe
It's
they're going to
Adam
bring
Pearce.
in Adam Pearce.
So Harry Peters there, snapped that drop ball low and in, got a bit of action on the ball for the strikeout. So head coach Damien Nan has put in a replacement, but at the moment we've got the assistant coach for New South Wales, James Todd Hunter, going out to have a chat. Just making sure everybody is clear of mind and know what their role is and how they're going to play this, and potentially how they're going to approach Adam Pearce.
Interesting, Darren, we talked a little earlier about New South Wales and the strength of Harry Peters and his dominance. That was his 9th strikeout for the game.
Yes.
So inadvertently, 9 strikeouts means that for 3 innings, they've had 3 outs.
Yep.
So 3 innings of 3 outs is an enormous amount in a game of this length.
Harry's very good at spot pitching, as I said at the start of the game, and when he's fresh, he can be very good.
Adam Pearce comes to the plate for his first appearance this afternoon. Steps in, takes one inside. Umpire McCauley thought that one painted the black and gives a call of strike. I'm not sure that Adam Pearce totally agreed with him.
Funny enough, the black's not the plate, but anyway, we'll go with that.
holds up on that one, and umpire's asked to ask the third baseman, who says no, he didn't go, and that's 1 ball, 1 strike.
But I knew what you meant when you said black.
Ball 1. Strike.
Yeah, well, if part of the ball's over the plate, it's a strike, so it has
Correct.
to paint the black to be a part of the ball over the plate.
Technically white, but
I get you. Here we go again. Peters lines that one out to second base, relays the ball across, and that'll be the 3rd out of the game, and that means that New South Wales will now face the ACT tonight in the final of the Open Men's Softball Championship. So for the Queensland side, they scored 3 runs in this game and were mighty, a great effort. They could be proud of their effort. Being down 3-1 early, coming back with a shot from Merriman, great comeback, only to have the New South Wales tough it out in that last innings and score that run.
yeah, unfortunately Queensland couldn't get enough sticks firing. But I think some of that had to go to Harry Peters and Jaden Latch, the way they called. But as mentioned earlier in the game, sometimes the Queensland hitters were actually chasing pitches and weren't actually staying in the zone. But that was a great outing for New South Wales. Great pitching performance for Harry Peters with 9 strikeouts.
Man of the match, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say Harry Peters. Look, again, I said the forgotten man, Jaden Latch, but don't forget Hayden Matthews. He batted well.
And that was for the New South Wales side, but
Yes.
you cannot take away from the effort of Marshall Cronk. He's just lost a ball game 4-3, and I thought he was magnificent.
Absolutely, and then you can't forget Ryan Merriman's long bomb as well.
Absolutely. So there were a lot of pluses for Queensland. They go away from this tournament having now finished 3rd. Where do they stand for next year? Do they lose a number of older players? Do they have a lot of younger players coming through? What are we going to see that makes a difference for Queensland next year?
Look, that's hard to say because they do have a few young guys that have come into the program, and if you're talking about potential players leaving the program, retiring, I can't answer that because someone like Jason Nathan, he's been around for a long time, and if he's got the passion to keep going, we'll see him next year.
So he wouldn't get moved on?
Look, I don't know. I think he's got a very good relationship with Damien Nan, and if Damien thought he may be a liability, he'd probably have that conversation. But I think Jason Nathan's got, he's highly respected in Queensland for the amount of time, effort, nationals that he's been to.
And New South Wales?
New South Wales have got a young team. They've been developing over the last few years, but they're going to come up against a mighty strong team tonight against ACT. So it's going to be a challenge for them. And ACT have been able to defend really well and score a lot of runs.
Well, Darren, thank you very much for your time and your effort today. I'm Wayne Cook. I've been ably assisted by Darren Hebditch with a guest appearance from Australian national coach Lang Harrow. It's been our pleasure to bring you this game today. New South Wales winning 4-3, scoring a run in the top of the 7th to make sure that Queensland had to battle hard. They weren't up to the task in the last innings, unfortunately, and fell just incredibly short. And it means New South Wales will play the ACT tonight. I'll see you at 7:30, Darren. We hope to have some of our listeners back, our watchers back, and look forward to a game where, if I was looking as a bit of a layman, I've been out of softball for a couple of years, I'd say that the ACT has to be heavily favoured. However, anything can happen in a grand final.
I think with ACT, with their track record over many years, quality hitting lineup, but the fact that you've got Kirkpatrick and Folkard, they're definitely favourites.
I think I read the book the other day that said they've won 10 of the last 12.
You'd probably be right there, Wayne.
Outstanding. All right, we'll see you tonight to Darren. Thank you very much to all our listeners, and we'll see you tonight at 7:30.